Hey you guys, it's Rachel here with Senza Tempo Cane Corso, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about something that I kept seeing popping up on one of my videos yesterday, or it might have been the day before yesterday. It has to do with sloppy sitting, which is where a dog side sits. They basically sit on their hip instead of doing that real pretty sitting on both hips upright. I saw that there was a woman there's multiple people talking about it. And in particular, one woman said that she had a boxer that would do this, and that she said that it caused her dog to get hip dysplasia. Now, I don't know who told her that. I'm guessing it was probably the breeder, who didn't want to take responsibility for breeding a dog with hip dysplasia, but that does not cause hip dysplasia. It is not a symptom of hip dysplasia. I know many breeders who breed working mastiffs. We're not talking Cane Corso. We're talking working mastiffs. They strictly work them. They're not even a breed. They're literally just working dogs. And their dogs sit like that. And so it's, if their dogs had a problem, we'd know. There's a real problem with internet rumor being taken as fact in the dog community. I don't know why it is that with dogs, people can just hear things and they're like, oh, well, that sounds good. And they just believe it right away. Would you do that with your child or with your own health? I don't know, maybe, but I would hope not. If you see something said online and it sounds good, do your research. Don't just believe it. Read a study. Try to find something that someone has studied on the subject so that you can verify whether or not what you're being told is fact or fiction. I'll give you an example. With Great Danes, bloat is a very high factor for death in that breed. And there are always people speculating on what you should do or what you shouldn't do in order to prevent your dog from getting bloat. One of those methods that was pushed very heavily was feeding your dog out of a raised feeding bowl. Now, there has been a study came out that has shown conclusively that raising the feed bowl actually increases the chance that your dog will get bloat, not decrease. So the opposite was true. So you have a bunch of people that were out there pushing an idea that was actually hurting dogs, and everyone just believed them because it sounded good. Now, having said that, I don't know that there was any research at the time before that was done to know, but it's still one of those things that is, if there's no scientific research for it, then why do it? If dogs naturally eat with their head down low, why would you bring it up high? Right? Just go with what nature would normally do. Unless there's a study. If there's a study that says, yes, you should definitely raise the feed bowl, it helps. We've seen that, percentage of dogs that are with their head raised, and these dogs do not, incur symptoms and they're not getting bloat and blah, 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 then sure, fine. Absolutely raise your feed bowl. Okay? I went and because I knew that the sloppy sit thing was not factual anyway, because I'm used to this. Like, I used to have pit bulls, right? I used to have to tell people on a regular basis that pit bulls do not have locking jaws. You would think that people would know that just the, that it would seem, just absolutely preposterous, and yet people believed it. So here we are. So I went ahead this morning doing some research on it because I had another friend contact me over the same thing. And sure enough, everyone who's talking about this, none of them provide any facts. There's no sources. It's all opinion. I mean, feel free. If you know of a scientific study that shows that a dog sitting on the side of its butt is a problem, by all means, send it to me. I'm more than willing to read these studies. And if I am wrong, I will correct it 100%. But I looked it up. On top of just basic knowledge of hip dysplasia, I know that's not what it is. I mean, do some research on hip dysplasia. Go research pen hip. Research how it works. Look at the Beagle study. Hip laxity's got nothing to do with the way that an animal sits. Okay? If the femoral head doesn't fit into the hip joint or the hip socket, then that is a totally separate issue that sitting isn't going to have an effect on. Okay, if the hip socket didn't form correctly, or the femoral head is too shallow, or if there's something not right there, nothing about a way a dog sits is going to help or not help that dog in the long run. That joint is going to wear out. If there's equally something wrong with the way that that dog is structured, like what they've done with German Shepherds and even the showbred Cane Corso, where they breed the dogs to have very little muscling over the rear end. And so there's nothing there to support the hips, and it's just the hips doing all the work, then absolutely, those dogs' hips are going to wear out, right? Because why? There's too much pressure on them, okay? And that's got nothing to do with the way a dog is sitting, and everything to do with the way that dog is built. And that's why it's important that you research the way that a dog should be built. And that starts at the basics. You need to look at a wolf, okay? You need to look at nature. Don't look at show dogs. They don't know what they're doing. Don't look at a human. Look at nature. The second best thing, look at working dogs. I don't mean working breeds. I mean working dogs, okay? People who are actually still using their dogs for work. Look at the way their dogs are built, okay? Look at the type of dog that goes with the breed of dog you're looking at. So if you're looking at a Cane Corso, you need to look at other athletic running hounds. You need to research the Elant, okay? The Great Dane is a closer relative, not genetically, but in type to the Cane Corso than even a Neapolitan Mastiff is going to be. Truly. And there are people that are breeding these neo-mastiffs into these dogs and wonder why it compromises the dog. Because these are a swift running mastiff, not a big, burly, bulky, clunky dog. And they shouldn't be bred with things like Rottweilers, which you will see, which creates a short back, which creates a square body, which I've talked about with Blondie, even with her square body. You can see what it does. They need the length of the back. You know, look at the way that the lurchers are, the bull lurchers, okay? People who are, using the dogs for work. Those are the ones you want to look at. People that have swift running dogs that are still built to take down large game. That's what you're looking for. And you will see the muscling on those dogs, and then you come and look at the show dogs and you'll see what's lacking. But that's where your hip problems are coming from. It's not from sitting wrong. It's from people who don't actually know what they're doing breeding dogs. They think they do. They can spout pretty things and they can use big words, but they don't actually know what makes a dog work. And that's why so many show dogs have been ruined. So many breeds that were once used for work can no longer work because they've been bred for show. And it's just like any type of show. If you go to a beauty pageant show, it's all a bunch of exaggerated stuff that nobody does, nobody wears, clothes that nobody's gonna buy. It's just poppycock. And that's what dog shows are for the most part as well. Just a bunch of frou-frou dogs that really don't amount to much, winning beauty pageants. And that's not what we're about. We're about working dogs here. So if you want to believe internet rumor, by all means, go ahead. But I advise you caution. And I ask that instead you take the time to do your research and study things, read, and figure it out. You know, don't just take people's word for it. Know that it's either right or that it's wrong. But don't take a guess, especially when your dog's life matters and when it counts and it's in the balance. If you really love your dog, you'll do the work and you'll figure out what's truth and what's fiction. And you'll stop believing this group of people who push this agenda of crap. There's always some new rumor. All right? Y'all have a good day. Enjoy your Sunday. And we're going to get out.